Hey friends, it's Jamie, hopping on for This Is Life Thursday. I try to do one live video in the group a week. Sometimes it's on Wednesdays for Wellness Wednesday, like with Dr. Bob and Miles sometimes. Jeff, trying to get him back. I think I've scared him off. And then sometimes it's This Is Life Thursday. Hey Ash, good to see you, sis. So we were due for our weekly video. I'm putting on some lotion. It's winter time here. It's super dry and starting to feel cabin fever and wishing it was spring. I think Jasmine's on. Good to see you, Jasmine. So I wanted to have Miles on tonight for This Is Life Thursday to talk about birthday parties, because our theme this month has been birthday parties, and some of you guys have asked just how we handle them, like invites that we get to other kids' birthday parties, and we definitely have done a few different things, but Miles is sick. So I did not want to. Hey, Ashley number 2. We have Ashley, my sister, on too. So good to see both Ashleys. So I am doing something different tonight. I expected to make a bigger deal about doing this Netflix documentary review. I know a lot of you guys were waiting for me to do it, but hopefully this will go okay. Anyways, me doing it at the last minute, and you guys can catch it on the replay or whatever. I want to know, hey Lynn, good to see you. I know a few of you guys have just recently watched it yourselves. So this is the Netflix documentary called Rotten, and they're going through looking at a bunch of different food issues. I think garlic is one, and there's some other ones. I don't even get Netflix. So I literally watched it at a preview party, a viewing party in Chicago with a lot of allergy leaders, which was totally awesome. And when I talk about it tonight, I'm going to go through 3 different elements. I'm going to tell you about the event that I attended, and then I'm going to talk about sort of my thoughts as an allergy mom on the documentary, and I also want to talk about the media. Hey Wendy, good to see you. And so if you have seen it, I would love for you guys to comment and let us know if you have seen it yet. Again, it's on Netflix. It's a whole series, but the number 2 one I think is Peanut. And so Peanut is the one where they actually put the most of the emphasis on food allergies. And so if you've been reading up a little bit on it, hey Rebecca, good to see you. You will read that there's been lots of thoughts about it. So I had read up a little bit before I went, so I knew what some of the critics were saying. My husband did not want to read up on it, so he went in with a clear mind and wanted to just form his own opinion about it. Hey Rebecca, hey Jessica, lots of great friends on here tonight. So if you have seen it, I am not seeing comments, which is total pain in the butt, but I'll come back. So go ahead and you guys, I'll come back afterwards and read your comments. But if you've seen it, let us know. And as I go through and talk about a few things, feel free to chime in. Oh, I see Jessica just said hi, so maybe I am seeing comments. If you have seen it, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. I'm going to start talking. You guys can chime in. We'll have a good little discussion here. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, so I hope this isn't one of those things where don't tell me what it's about kind of thing. It wasn't like a drama or anything. Well, it sort of kind of was, but I'm just going to give you my little review. If you don't want to hear it before you watch it, then you might want to turn this off and come back later. So 3 parts: the media, being an allergy mom watching it, and the event. So I guess I'll talk about the event first. The whole thing with this is you can watch it on Netflix. Jeff was going to get us a trial on it so that I could watch it a second time. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to watch it a second time. I liked it, but if you don't know me, I sort of have like ADD. Like, I don't really watch shows and movies. I'm always like going and doing and like watching unless it's Downton Abbey. Sorry, my video thing is wigging out on me. So yeah, I was like, I don't really want to watch it a second time. I'll just do this review thing based on what I remember about Chicago. So I got invited by Susie over at Spoken. She is an allergy mom like us. She created her own food allergy app. So if you are not on the Spoken app, we can like recommend products and restaurants and all kinds of different things based on our food allergies. And so I'm on there as Milk Allergy Mom, and you guys are invited to get on the app and start sharing products and favorite things. Hey Sarah, good to see you. But Susie and I connected several months ago about food allergy work together, and she is actually featured. There are several allergy families who are in the documentary, and she was one of them. And so being sort of a leader in the food allergy community, she is such a go-getter. She should be like an event planner because she just did an awesome job planning this event. She got this movie theater to air the episode and invited all these allergy leaders to come and watch it together. And so that is how I got invited. Susie invited me. I live 4 hours away from Chicago, so it was, hey Lindsay, good to see you. So yeah, I really don't do many allergy events really, but because of this group and just more opportunities are coming my way, and I'm able to say yes to more things now. So my husband and I got on the train and we went to see this viewing in Chicago, and it was really a really fun thing for us. And I was like obsessed with getting on my phone and giving you guys updates. Like I was on the train asking you what questions you wanted me to ask them. I got there, it was really hard not to like FaceTime. I was like, I probably shouldn't live video some of this, but I just kept thinking about you guys here in the group the whole time, because I was like, I want them to have the whole inside scoop. So I was able to meet, and so there was like a VIP reception before the movie. So we actually went into this movie theater, which was really cute and quaint in Chicago. We had like a $40 Uber ride to the theater. It was crazy. I've never done Uber before, so it was like a really great life experience. Luckily, my husband was with me. Ashley, why are you talking about white chocolate? Am I missing some conversation here? White chocolate? Oh, yes. You guys told me to tell Enjoy Life that they needed to do white chocolate. Okay, I'm tracking with you now. And I totally did. You guys, your big questions were tell Enjoy Life we want white chocolate, because they were at the event and like their head marketing guy was there, and I took a picture of him in his seat and I was like, you guys, there he is. But then I got to go up and meet them at the end, and then you guys told me to ask them about white chocolate. And then the AviQ founder, one of the brothers, was there, and I got him off to the side and asked when AviQ was coming back to Canada, because one of you guys asked me that. It was really funny because his response was like, he thought for a minute and he was very diplomatic about his answer, and later my husband's like, you're kind of considered media, so he had to be careful how he answered you. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, hey, we're friends. But so yeah, he gave me this very serious answer about AviQ coming back to Canada, which was basically that they just wanted to get really established in the United States first, after having the whole recall thing and ownership thing, and that he knows that it is wanted broader than the United States and that they are working on it. So I didn't get any real inside scoop at all, but hope that helps a little bit. So it was really fun to meet all of these amazing leaders in food allergy. Definitely had a chance to just totally talk to them for a few minutes. Really enjoyed the Enjoy Life guy, Joel, an older guy. He's like, yeah, I heard you were coming and I have a question for you. We kind of like rebranded a little bit, and do you guys like to be called milk free or dairy free? Like what's what's better for you? And I was like, oh my gosh, you're asking me a question. And so I came back and polled you guys, and so that was just really fun to be sort of this line of communication between one of our favorite companies and my favorite peeps. So it was really, really fun. I am definitely open to doing more things like that. A lot of things happen in Chicago. I'm not that far away, so I'm excited to partner up with Susie from Spoken More on some more things. There's a bowls game, a fundraiser for fair that I would love to make, but I don't know if we can if we can swing another thing this month, and the hotel and everything like that, but we'll see. Anytime I can go represent and give you guys some good info, I'm definitely going to be tempted to do it. I hate traveling by myself. I sort of get like travel anxiety, so then I have to drag my husband along, and then things get more expensive, but we'll see. We'll keep our minds open to things. And Susie was a doll, so make sure that you do download the app Spoken. I'm not a huge app girl. I love groups and community and interaction, but I know some people love apps and just a quick answer like that. Hey Riley, hey Stacy, good to see all you guys. So yeah, get on the app and we can hang out there a little bit. It's good fun. So I'm Milk Allergy Mom. Request me, I'll request you. And I'm still trying to figure it out because I'm not super techie. So that is sort of what the event was. If you have any questions about the event, let me know. Dr. Gupta was there, the pediatrician. That's been a big deal to talk about this video, that she's a pediatrician and not an allergist, but she was a total delight. I'm going to talk about her just a little bit more as I talk about the video or the documentary. She was so sweet. She's an allergy mom like us, so it was a huge pleasure to meet her. I mean, I've seen her in lots of allergy articles from Allergic Living, and Fair mentions her. She's a researcher, so she has done like food allergy research. Even though she's not an allergist, she knows a lot of information about food allergies. So she was really, really sweet, and she's from the Chicago area. Hey Victoria, good to see you. So that was the event. It was definitely a fun adventure. It was fast and furious, and my husband really, really likes the train. I used to use the train all the time to go to St. Louis and Chicago for work and leisure, and I was like, you've never ridden a train with me, but I've been on it a lot, and he really liked it. So the train is super fun, you guys, super fun. Now I want to talk about, I think I'm going to talk about the media. Because I think that this is sort of a big part. A lot of you guys have asked me off the side, hey Angela, good to see you. If you read around about different opinions about this documentary, there's like literally like some negative stuff going on, like who funded this and who's behind this and what's the agenda. And I think a lot of that kind of goes with our suspicions of media and everything, but I have a little bit of media experience. So I just wanted to go over that really quickly. One, my husband is in media, so he's in TV, and he totally knows what it's like to put together a story or a series or whatever. And so it was good to have him there so that we could get his perspective on what was going on with this documentary. And then I have had some experience with media. So I'll give you one example, is that probably, I mean, this is really what launched us into taking Milk Allergy Mom more seriously when we started our Facebook page. It was that ABC National News, I think it was Nightline News, contacted me and wanted to come to my house and follow us around and show a milk allergy story. And being like this little side blogger hobby person, I was just like, yes, I totally want to show people what it's like to have a milk allergy. And I was on email with what was, I guess, the producer girl for a couple weeks. It was something really fast. They were going to fly to my house and be here within 2 weeks. I remember we had just moved here and we had a ton of renovating things on our list that we hadn't done yet. And Jeff was like, we need to like get this done and get this done if they're coming to our house. And so basically I just said yes. because I'm just like, yes, I want people to know about food allergies, and I'm willing to share that with the public. And Jeff kind of was like, you what? You told them yes? And I was just like, what's the big deal? Like, I always tell people about food allergies, but, you know, it was like big time. It was ABC, national news, how the heck they found us, probably some Google search, and here's some little piddly allergy mom who of course will tell us yes. So after I said yes, I had a little bit of like yes regrets, yes remorse, like, oh crap, what have I done? And Jeff, being in media, he knew like, we aren't going to have control over what happens here. This is like going to go down how they want it to go down. They're going to edit it how they, and he kind of was like giving me these little pep talks, and it got me a little freaked out. I was like, what have I done? Maybe we shouldn't do it. But I kept going back to, but this is for the greater good. I really want people to see what food allergies are like. I really want people to understand. And then I started getting nervous about like our privacy and our kids. And so it was like this crazy thing. But all that to say, I had no control. I did not know what the story was going to end up being like. They didn't give me a lot of information. It was fast and furious. Like 2 weeks, we're going to have Juju Chang. So then like we were emailing, and I was like, she's like, now just, I booked the flight. Juju Chang is going to be the interviewer. You'll love her. She's a mom. She has kids. And I was like, I didn't really understand how big it was. And I was like, I recognize that name. And I looked it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I see her on the news like all the time. I'm like, Jeff, they're like sending Juju Chang. And he's like, oh gosh, this is like crazy. I'm gonna have to like get permission from my work or something. So it was crazy. But I mean, they just found me. Like, we weren't friends. I wasn't like funding the documentary or the story. It was going to happen in 2 weeks time. They didn't give me a script. They didn't tell me what they were going to do. So when I started reading like the negative conspiracy theory thoughts on this documentary and who's behind it, and is Dr. Gupta like this terrible person who made the story like not good enough and whatever, I was like, I kind of feel bad, because I know what it's like to be contacted by big time TV and just being like, okay, sure. And then they come and they do their thing, and then they go off and edit it, and you have no idea how it's going to end up. And when I was there and I was able to talk to Dr. Gupta and Susie, one of the moms in the documentary, it was like, that's exactly how it went down. They're just like, hey, we know you guys know allergies a little bit. Can we come interview you? And they did a little panel beforehand with several of the allergy leaders, and the story was sort of how Jeff and I expected it. Like, actually, I think I remember correctly that they didn't even plan for it to have a huge allergy emphasis. And this is something that happens in TV and media too. Like, it takes it takes a big turn sometimes, like when you don't even know that that's going to happen. It's very, very fluid. Like, I don't even know how Jeff does his work. It's very stressful because it's constantly changing. They don't schedule news stories, because literally you just have to wait and see if something bigger happens than what you thought was going to happen. And news, like, it's very, very fluid. So their story, when they got on the panel and told us about how it went down, and they knew that it was like kind of getting kind of controversial, and the allergy community was kind of getting like, you didn't represent us good enough. I mean, they literally just showed up, said, we have a few questions about food allergies, and realized, wow, there's a lot to this food allergy angle that we weren't planning on. We didn't know that we should cover, we didn't know existed, and so it ended up being more about food allergy than even was intended. So funny story, going back to me and supposed to have been on TV, I was freaking out. I think it was like 2 days before they were supposed to come to my house for a totally different thing. This was not the Netflix thing. This was like 5 years ago, a story on milk. And they were going to follow me around for the whole day. They were going to go to soccer with us. They were going to go to my allergist. I had my allergist lined up, and they emailed, just a quick email, and said, never mind, we actually decided to go a different angle with this, and we're not going to come now. I was like, Oh my gosh. Well, one, I was like literally praying, like, please let this fall apart if I've like made the stupidest decision ever. I've never really told anybody this story before. So this is my first time telling you that I was almost on Nightline News talking about milk allergies when I had no idea what I was doing. But it was like a blessing because I was like, oh my gosh, total relief. I do not have to put my kids on TV. I do not have to do this. Oh my gosh, thank goodness it fell apart. But it was a little frustrating too that media is like that. Like literally it can be one thing one day and the next thing the next day. So with the Netflix thing, it apparently wasn't supposed to be totally a food allergy thing, and it ended up being it because you know what? Because that's where the drama is. That's where the high intensity ended up being with a peanut story. So it ended up being more food allergy than I think it was intended to be. And I got canceled as the milk allergy mom for Nightline 5 years ago. And the funny thing about that story is they said they needed to take a different angle on it. Well, what I think the story ended up being, you guys, is hilarious, was too much salt in school lunches. It literally went from talking about milk to having a little bit of milk allergy in it to too much salt in school lunches, because they go with what is going to be the most versatile, what they think needs to be done or whatever. I don't think like the salt industry paid them money to change the story to salt, or the milk industry paid them not to cover milk. I just think media just does that. So Jeff and I do not read into a lot of deep conspiracy crazy stuff when it comes to media and things like that, because literally it's so fluid. They just do what they feel like doing, and that's how it happens. Jeff is a producer at the TV station, and stories change all the time. So all that to say, I don't think too hard about these things. Like, it ended up being an educational tool that tell people about food allergies, and I'll get into kind of my review of the actual documentary in a second. But the whole like complaints about it and saying, you know, really reading into it, we just don't do that because we know how media is. So Dr. Gupta's story was exactly how we expected it to be. They showed up, they had a few questions about food allergy, they realized there's more story there, they went for it, they edited it, and she was saying like, I said this and I said this, I swear I talked about milk, I talked about this. Like, she really like felt like she had to explain herself because she has heard so many people disgruntled about how it turned out. And I'm like, you do not have to apologize to me. I know how this goes. We know how this goes. And Jeff's like standing there like, oh yeah, I get it. We're in media. Like, that is how it goes. So she has no control over how the story went or anything like that. Just answer questions. They edit it, cut it however they want to. So, and I mean, it's hard to put yourself out there. If I would have done the stupid milk story, I probably would have had like thousands of people hating me. I would have said something wrong. They would have edited it wrong. I'm so glad I did not do that story, but it gave me a little experience to realize how these things can work. So media can be a really crazy thing. However, it is a great educational thing as well. I mean, as an allergy mom, I am so glad that this documentary happened. I am so glad that these families put themselves out there, these doctors, and that they answered the questions. I mean, we all could just hide and say, no, I don't want to be a part of that because you may make me look bad. I don't want to be a part of that. But so I have a very deep respect for the families and the doctors who will actually do these things. And even though the overall story may not be what we as food allergy parents, we know more about food allergies than your average person. We probably know just from experience and what life is like more than doctors. We definitely know more about allergy life than a doctor. But it's not going to be perfect. There's never going to be a perfect documentary. It's never going to cover all of the facets of food allergy. and this is like one of the first ones. So there's going to be more down the pike. They're going to be more thorough. They're going to cover different aspects better than others. But unless you and I do it, because we all know we're perfect, there will be no perfect documentary about food allergies. There's never a perfect media story about anything. So, yeah, I'm going to try not to talk about too much crazy personal stuff, but I know how media works. So let me talk about, I've already talked about the event and how fun it was to meet all the allergy leaders, Susie especially from Spoken, just a fellow mom, tons of other families there that were also in the video. And so I don't know, maybe there were about 4 or 5 allergy families. So they were in the office with their kids, and they, you know, they spoke out and they told about their experience with food allergy. I think that was I admire all of them for doing that for us. And so I'm going to talk about the video. Again, if you have seen, it was like a 45-minute documentary. Again, it's on Netflix. It's called Rotten. It's part of a series, and it's the one about peanuts. So they covered all different kinds of food. The peanut one ended up being the big food allergy story. So thank you, Netflix, for, instead of just talking about peanuts, for bringing food allergy to the big screen. We appreciate that. So there were some things that I liked about it. There were some things that I was like, I'm not so sure about this, but my overall feel of being in the theater watching it was not bad. It was a good experience. It was, I think I got a little lump in my throat a couple times, but I kind of knew what was coming because I had heard a lot of you guys talking about it. So I'm just going to go over a few different things that I took notes while I was in there on my phone that I just wanted to highlight. One is that, of course, they had like farmers, they had peanut farmers on there, which if you kind of read like the critics of this, they were like really wanting to know all about the farming, and they had a lot of questions about that. I mean, just overall, I was just like, okay, they're peanut farmers and they're nice people, and they're concerned that peanut allergies are growing, and yes, it affects their bottom line. And there was talk about the farmers funding research about allergy, and so Jeff and I are just like, we're just taking it at face value. Like, these are peanut farmers. They know about food allergies, and they're concerned, and they're part of the community and trying to figure it out alongside us. So, I mean, you can get into all the chemicals and all that stuff, which is probably a factor, but no, it did not cover that in this documentary, and it is what it is. So maybe somebody will do a documentary next time more about the chemicals and stuff in farming. But Jeff and I weren't like wanting to punch the screen or anything because of that. I mean, it's just what it is. So the farmers were a delight in the movie. Let's see. They spent a long time, and Jeff said too, he's like, that kind of got really long. So they talk about a restaurant peanut death in London, and it went on for way too long. So there were other things I think that they could have covered about food allergies. I mean, so the fact is, this older man ate in this restaurant and said that he couldn't have. So here's my question, you guys. If you've seen it, was the word nut and peanut being used interchangeably? Like, for me, like, a nut is not a peanut and a peanut is not a nut. And he said, I can't have nuts, but he was allergic to peanut. Like, am I wrong? Was I just like really tired from the train ride and not, I mean, this is probably why I do need to watch it a second time, because it's driving me crazy. I was like, peanuts and nuts are different. And so I can totally see them putting this documentary together, not even realizing like there's a difference between a peanut and a nut. I don't know. So that was one thing that drove me crazy, because I'm kind of like a detail person. I'm not like a conspiracy who funded this. Let's be mad at all the people that did this and didn't say the right things. That's not me, but I'm like a details girl. Like, okay, we really need to like know that a nut is not a peanut. So anyway, let me know if that's just me. Was I totally reading into that wrong? But they spent a lot of time in London talking about this incident, which made me think, and this is media, like they're going to go for the thing that's like the most dramatic, right? And I'm just like, okay, if you had to go all the way to London to like do this, then you were really trying to like find something really bad to talk about. And it didn't just touch on it. It was literally like probably 15, 20 minutes of the 45 minutes. So, I thought it was a bit much. It was a little overkill. It was like too much. And Jeff felt the same way. It was just like kind of dragging on in that part. So that's kind of a negative thing that I have. That sort of being a little critical there. But so that's a big part of the story. They, of course, had the chef from Boston, oh gosh, what's his name, you guys? I'm not seeing comments, but the chef from Boston, who is like rocking it. He's like Disney outside of Disney, catering to food allergies. Love that part. If you look at any of the critics talking about this, that's the parts that they won't criticize is the chef and the food allergy families. So people are happy with that, and I agree. It was awesome hearing from the chef about how restaurants should take it seriously and how we are a huge segment in society, and that it's important to make sure we can eat in restaurants and be safe. As you know, if you don't know, we're super conservative and don't eat in restaurants, but I can appreciate his story. Then they talked to Dr. Gupta quite a bit. Yes, she was the one, not being an allergist, but she is a pediatrician who knows a lot about food allergies. And so what they do is they talk to the chef a lot. They talk to Dr. Gupta about how allergies are more and more on scene, statistics, things like that. And then they have like this climax where they say that the chef and the pediatrician both have kids with food allergies. And so I really liked that. Like, I can appreciate the way media kind of cuts the info and puts it together. And so they kind of did how these advocates for food allergies are working really hard to figure it out and cater to the community. And then bam, guess what? They're food allergy parents. So for people who were not happy about Dr. Gupta not being an allergist, I think probably what Netflix was going for was, hey, we get to have this big bam, she's a food allergy parent kind of thing. And it definitely was effective to be like, wow, this does affect a lot of people. Even these people who didn't expect to have kids that would have food allergies, and now they do too. So the chef and talking about using an EpiPen, and they were in Dr. Gupta's car with her daughter going to school, and does she have her EpiPen? And so you just realize, oh, these people that are working really hard for us are totally on our side because they know they are parents too. So I really, really liked that part of the video. Curious if you guys did too. I'm not seeing comments, so let me know your thoughts on that. And so Dr. Gupta gives a lot of she's talking about how in the year 2000, we were strict avoidance of peanut, and how now 2008, they're talking about like the other spectrum of that, like early introduction, things of that matter. And just so that at the end, there's kind of like this hope that that food allergies, we're learning more and more about it. And so one of the things that I was reading critical about it, I thought that I had read this, but maybe I read it wrong. I thought they were saying, but they didn't talk about desensitizing, and then the people there, you know, that kind of thing. But at the end, they really did talk about, and maybe I read it wrong. I think I read it wrong because I think what people were saying was they talk about desensitizing, but they don't tell exactly what it entails. And it's dangerous that we can tell people that, oh, you can desensitize, because it really does have to be very careful and whatever. And so, but there was like this hope element where at the end, the families, several of the kids and their parents who told these really bad stories about reactions and things come on and say, I am desensitizing, I can eat this small amount, I have to be careful though with exercise and everything. I wasn't expecting that because I had thought that people were bashing it because it didn't do that. And then other people were bashing it because they didn't give enough detail. My whole thing is it was a broad umbrella. They got a pediatrician who knew a lot about food allergies. They had a chef. They had a terrible story that added the drama to, and the realisticness, I guess, to the story. And then they had all the kids, and they had the families, and they had the bad stories, and they had the good stories, and it kind of just ended like that. And for me, it was enough. Like, I felt like there was a good umbrella. They touched on several different things. They did not give details about oral immunotherapy. They did not have an allergist giving the information. But I do want to talk about that in just a second. But it was a great overall picture of food allergies. It was a great picture of the seriousness. Another critic thing that I was reading was, now if you have a relative who has food allergies, you're never going to let them eat in a restaurant again. I mean, we can all like nitpick what wasn't good about it and how it's going to ruin everything for food allergies, but I'm just more of an optimistic person. I think that it served a good purpose in educating people about overall what food allergies look like. And for us food allergy parents, we can have a good feeling. We know more than what is in the video. So we're not going to learn a whole lot watching it, but the general public is. And so, I mean, I would not hesitate to say, hey, family that doesn't know anything about food allergies, watch this. And there's a lot of holes, but maybe we can sit down and talk about it. I'll answer your questions. Yes, Miles is desensitizing, but no, he can't just start eating cookies and be fine. And yes, tragic things happen in restaurants, but it's very rare. And so it's great for conversation. It's not going to give 100% thorough information about food allergies, but it's a great start. It's a great start. And Susie was spoken. We are a lot alike. Like, we are optimistic. We are the glass is half full type of people. And we're just like, thank you for bringing food allergies to the forefront. And Valerie's on. I know she just watched it, so I'm excited to hear your thoughts, Valerie, on it. So, but I do want to say another thing that was critical about it was that Dr. Gupta was not an allergist, and that she was just a pediatrician. Again, she does have a food allergy daughter, but the really fun fact that I learned being at the viewing in Chicago was there was an allergist from Chicago who they were using to consult during the whole thing. And so Dr. Gupta and him worked together, and when she was, another thing too about Dr. Gupta was when they came to interview her, they just wanted like her to answer questions, and she asked them, are you going to have any food allergy families in this? And they're like, no, we didn't plan on it. And so it was her idea to actually have families on to really give us a better picture of what food allergies look like. And somehow in what was going on, this allergist in Chicago, she was consulting with him. They were making sure they were getting the facts right. So he was definitely behind the scenes for the whole thing. But he wasn't on camera. And you know how media is or whatever. They probably were thinking, well, she's like, we want to see her and we don't want to really see him, but we'll get the info from him. But he did tell me, I got to talk to him at the end, and he said that they totally get this from the media perspective. They wanted him to watch what they had put together to make sure that nothing was inaccurate or wrong, but that he did not have the liberty to like change it, make it better or enhance anything, but just tell us, make sure there's nothing false in it. So, and that's something that just the general public is not going to know. So I really appreciated him sharing that. He's like, I know people are like, man, there's not an allergist, but I was like in on it the whole time, and I think Dr. Gupta did a great job, and I got to kind of give my approval at the end. He's like, I really wanted to like change and enhance some things, but that wasn't, and I'm like, no, it wasn't in your power. Like, this is media, they do what they want to do. So totally could appreciate that his hands were tied, but they did have an allergist in Chicago, what's the word for it, consulting, making sure that things were accurate. So overall, Jeff and I thought that it was a great experience. We were really glad that we got to go up to Chicago and meet Avi Q and enjoy life. And when Susie told me that those guys were going to be there, I was like, I don't know if like the real like leader people are going to be there or just like a representative, but it'll still be super fun. So I was really excited that these were the founders of the Spoken app and the founders of AviQ and the head marketing CMO of Enjoy Life. And so that was a huge treat. I told Jeff that made it totally worth it, just meeting these guys, being able to shake their hands, tell them thank you for being awesome advocates and leaders in the food allergy community. And now they know who we are, because, well, they might have known a little bit, but now they really know, because I was like handing out my card. I'm like, hey man, we have an awesome group. And so it was really, really fun, and I'm glad we went. I'm glad that the documentary has been made. I am not going to be one of those conspiracy theory allergy leaders out there wanting to know who funded it and why it was done and what the agenda was. I really know with media that a lot of times there is not an agenda. I mean, there is in some regards, but in some of these like stories, it literally is just like fly by the seat of your pants, go with what is going to make the biggest hoorah for the general public, what's going to make people watch it. And so I really feel like that's a lot of what was done. But what we do is we look at the positives, which is food allergies were brought to the forefront, and more people are going to know about the seriousness of food allergy, the statistics of food allergies because of the documentary. And if we want to complain about how it was done or we aren't happy with it, we just sit down with people who have watched it and explain a little bit more to them, because you and I do know more. Our documentary would be 100% accurate and thorough. Maybe Dr. Siri and I should make a documentary. My husband should produce it, and Dr. Bob and Dr. Siri and I will just make the perfect food allergy documentary someday. But in the meantime, I think we should just take what we can get, and that's what I'm going to do. And so I would love to, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. If you haven't gotten on the Spoken app, definitely do that. Hang out and make your avatar. It's hilarious making your Spoken app avatar. I'm like a naked person with curly hair. I don't know where the clothes are. Susie, I need a shirt on in your app. So overall, it was a really good experience. Definitely I'll add one more thing. Some people thought that it was a very emotional documentary because of them being in that whole restaurant scenario situation for so long. I kind of knew that was going to happen, so I'm going to tell you what made me the most emotional. And when I did not regret watching it, it did not send me to a darker place. But I know that some of you are saying that you watched a few minutes and it was like too much for you. Totally fine. Like, don't watch it if that's going to do that to you. It's not, you don't have to watch it. You totally don't. Like, there's not anything in there that you don't already know. So if that is too hard for you, don't do that to yourself. I'm more of a thinker and less of a feeler. Hey, Tony, what up? What up, girl? You're the winner. Tony is the winner for the most comments and most posts in the group this month. I just want to tell you guys I'm not going to do that on a regular basis, but I was cracking up about that the other night and I had to post it. So Tony's with me. It wasn't too dark, but for some mamas, they're like already in a hard place, and it may be too much. If you're watching it and it's not good for you, just don't watch it. You're not going to learn anything you don't already know. But for those who watch it, I wasn't upset that I watched it. I thought that it was great for me to see and to be able to talk to you guys about. But what was the most, and Tony, you know this, what touched me the most was at the viewing. It was, what time was it at? I want to say it got over about 8 o'clock. And the kids that were in the video, so like they pulled families all from Chicago because media is lazy, so they just pulled all the families in Chicago. And the kids started coming out with their parents early. So we were going to do like more hashing it out afterwards, which was awesome, fun. But the kids with the families that had to get, the families with the kids had to leave to get home for school the next day because this was a weeknight. And as the allergy kids were leaving the theater with their parents, and now I'm getting teary too, like that... that is where I got my little lump in the throat, like wanted to cry. I just like to see these kids in person, that I know each of them is dealing with the struggles and the hardships of the limitations that can come with food allergies. That is where I can handle screen and I can handle books and things like that. But then you just put it right in front of me and it's like the real life. I was just like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to hug every single one of those kiddos as they walked out and give their parents a hug. And so I did get to meet a few of the families at the VIP thing beforehand. The one that I got to meet was the mom with the baby. She was sitting in the doctor's office. Her baby was still a baby. And so Jeff and I got to hang out with them a little bit. But some of the ones snuck in. I never got to meet them. And as they walked out, like I remember the little kid with the glasses on and the teenager, like seriously, I was just like... I would not wish this on you guys, and I pray that you see better days of non-allergy life very, very soon. And so for that, I was just grateful that the documentary happened, that they got to be a part of it, and that they got to tell their stories. And so that really, for me, was the really, really hard but touching and moving part, was seeing those families that did this for us, because I know I almost was that family that got put on a screen to tell my story. By some stroke of luck, it didn't happen, but for those families, I know what it's like to do those things, and so I appreciated the sacrifices that they made to tell their stories. And the kiddos were so dang cute, so cute. They're like my own little kids. All right, that is the big recap. I covered the event. It was fun hanging out in Chicago. I can't wait to go back. What media is really like behind the scenes. A lot of times there's not an alternative agenda. Just throw the thing together and do it so that most people will watch it. And then to give my allergy mom analysis of the video. I may be way off. You guys may totally disagree with me on this. I didn't think too hard about it. I didn't dig too deep. I didn't do a ton of research. I just wanted to give you like my real mom, food allergy mom analysis. So I can't wait to hear what you guys think. If you agree with me, if you're thinking harder than I am, it's totally possible. You may be studying up and thinking way more about it. I just kind of am going at it like, hey, allergy mom watched it. What did I think? I didn't even want to watch it a second time because I didn't want to think that hard about it. There's so much to food allergy, you guys. A documentary is just a snippet of the things that we have to deal with. So I'm just like, okay, it's a documentary. I watched it. I'll be able to talk to people about it. It is what it is. Valerie says that is the story that made me tear up. The mom with the baby. I related to her, and her little one reminded me. Oh, Valerie, I'm so glad you shared that. I totally got to meet her. She was a total doll. Really, really sweet, and they were there. So I did get to meet that mom with the little baby. So I can't remember what she told us. We kind of were asking her some updates. I'm going to have to ask Jeff because he actually talked to them more. But yeah, a super sweet family that did that for us. So can't wait to hear what you guys think. Share all your thoughts. If you haven't watched it yet, watch it and then come back to this post and share your thoughts, because this is a discussion. This isn't just Jamie blabbering what she thinks all the time. I just want to start the discussion and definitely hear your thoughts and comments and what you're going to go forward and do with this. Are you going to make a bunch of people watch it and talk to them? Are you going to kind of keep it to yourself? Are you not going to watch it? I hope you guys got a good feel of what it entails, and you can decide if you want to watch it or not. So no judgment if you decide to skip it. I would not blame anybody that didn't want to watch it. So all right, I'm out, gonna head to bed, and tomorrow is Something Find Friday. We'll talk about products that we found that we like and go from there. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.